Hey, welcome to 12 Tone. Today I want to do something a little different. I'd like to talk about an idea I've been toying with for quite a while now to sort of show you what goes on inside a theorist's head, or at least inside mine. I'm not the first person to come up with these, and I'll be referencing some other people later on, but I've been thinking about these scales on and off for years now, and I thought I'd share my work. It all starts with the pentatonic scale. Technically, pentatonic just means 5 notes, but normally we're talking about the scale you get when you take the major scale and remove the 4th and 7th degrees. Well, that's major pentatonic anyway. There's also minor pentatonic where we take the minor scale and remove the 2nd and flat 6th degrees. We're not just taking out notes at random here, though. In both major and minor pentatonic, the 2 notes we removed are a tritone apart, which means they bring a lot of dissonance to the party. Taking them out makes the scale sound a whole lot sweeter and more relaxed. Furthermore, due to the structure of the parent scales, each of the notes we removed was also a half step away from another scale degree. That means that taking out the tritone also gets rid of all the half steps in the scale for free, and that leaves us with pretty much no dissonance at all. You can walk up and down a pentatonic scale all day and never hit a wrong note. Also, notice that both scales still have a root, a third, and a fifth, meaning they include what's called a tonic triad, which is pretty much what it sounds like. A complete triad built on top of the tonic or root of the scale. That may seem like a weird thing to point out, but trust me, it'll come up again later. The other ingredient is a special group of scales called the modes. Modes are basically just modified versions of the major scale, or more precisely, they're the notes of the major scale but rearranged. Let's just do an example. Here's B flat major. If we play all the same notes but we start and end on C instead, we get this, called C Dorian. We can also find D Phrygian, E flat Lydian, F Mixolydian, G Aeolian, which is the same as G minor, and finally A Locrian, all with the same 7 notes, and since they've all got the same notes, that means they've all got the same intervals too. You may have figured out where this is going. Can we take the tritones out of these modes to make new, different pentatonic scales? Well, hold up, let's take a look at Lydian again. Here, the tritone lies between the root and the sharp 4, and, well, your scale needs a root. That note's not optional. E Lydian pentatonic has no E, so we can't really work with it. The same thing happens with Locrian, where the tritone is between the root and the flat 5. But the others all work. In addition to major and minor, we can make Dorian pentatonic, Phrygian pentatonic, and Mixolydian pentatonic. But when I say they work, I'm being pretty generous. In all 3 cases, the notes we removed are the ones most responsible for giving their parent scales their unique sound. For instance, Dorian's whole deal is being a minor scale with a major 6th, but our Dorian pentatonic removes not just the major 6th, but also the minor 3rd, which makes it not really a minor scale. It's made from Dorian, but it doesn't actually feel like Dorian. One way to solve this is an approach described by a guitarist named Matt Warnock, who decided that instead of caring about removing tritones and dissonance, he would just try to pick the 5 notes that best represented the sound and feel of the parent scale. So while my Dorian pentatonic sounds like this, his sounds more like this, and it feels much more Dorian. He brought back the major 6th and the minor 3rd, but in doing so, he also brought back the tritone. On the one hand, this feels like cheating to me. It's got 5 notes, sure, but it's not at rest. It doesn't feel true to the spirit of the pentatonic scale. On the other hand, it's probably a lot more useful than mine, so, priorities. Back to mine though, there's another problem. Phrygian pentatonic lacks a 5th, and the other 2 don't even have 3rds. This means that none of these pentatonic modes have complete tonic triads, which makes it hard to do much with them. They don't really have a strong identity. The solution to this comes from jazz fusion legend Scott Henderson, who's talked about using them to improvise over full chords. If the band's playing E minor, for instance, you can play E Dorian pentatonic without worrying about the missing G, because the rest of the band will be playing it for you. In fact, thanks to the missing notes, you can even play E Mixolydian pentatonic, even though the real E Mixolydian has a G sharp, which clashes pretty hard. This, again, feels like cheating to me, though. Is it really pentatonic if you're relying on someone else playing a 6th note? It's way more practical, sure, but I'm a theorist. Practical is for performers. So will my philosophically pure pentatonic modes revolutionize the world of music anytime soon? Probably not, thanks to one final nail in their coffin. They all sound pretty much the same. Unlike modes where changing one note can change the entire structure of the scale, here all it does is shuffle around the same basic patterns. But do I regret the time I spent with them? Not at all. It's easy to get the idea that theory is a bunch of rules some old guys decided on and now we all have to follow them, but that's not even close to true. Music theory is still a growing, developing field field and we're still out there experimenting and exploring. Sometimes we find whole new ways to look at music, sometimes we discover awesome new devices that give us access to new sonic landscapes, and sometimes we hit a dead end. When we do, we just see what we can learn from it and move on. In this case, I learned that without dissonance, small variations aren't really all that noticeable, and I can use that knowledge in any number of ways. So yeah, pentatonic modes may be kinda dumb and pointless, but they're my baby. My dumb, pointless baby. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to help make these videos possible, please consider supporting 12 Tone on Patreon. You can also join our mailing list to find out about new episodes, like, share, comment, subscribe, and keep on rockin'.